So we've got...
Should have guys coming up behind us.
They do. So the first call made right here is there's sprints coming up behind us on the map. That's good. That's not bad, because someone said they heard sprints, and then I think they were also saying, hey, I hear sprints, but I don't just need to hear sprints. We can, visually see where they are right here. But there are sprints coming up behind us on the map. Is a lot of syllables and a lot of words. It's not bad, and not so direct communication, but something really quick like contact southwest lets everyone know, just those words, contact southwest, lets us know that there are enemy players. I mean, that they're red. They're not just blue players, that there are red players, and that an engagement is imminent. And we have that up on the website under SOP, like basic communication for Mostly Harmless. Go ahead.
Could you do audible instead of just contact? Because you don't know if they're friendly or not.
Well, we know in this case we're flagged.
Oh, yeah.
So we know. Yeah, if you don't know, that's a good thing. And I think what Akari was asking was, if you don't know, if you just see these little red dots on the map, that could be blues, they could be neutral, they could be blues that we have a history of fighting against, so we're pretty sure that we're going to be fighting soon. Or they could be reds. And if you don't know, then just say neutral southwest. But if you know that they're reds, and the way that we know that in this case is we're all flagged, which you can see right here, then you would say contact southwest. Or, in this case, you could say contact 71 southwest heading towards us, or contact 71 southwest heading northeast. Okay, so that's the initial contact call. Oh, and then Talon says contact southwest. After the person said, I hear rushes coming in from behind us. Rook calls to push into them at this point. So right here, a couple people call, it sounds like 3 people call Yogita as their healer. That's a good call to make, and anyone should make that call. So not just the person that's in charge of targeting, like the DPS, not just the team leader. Anyone can say Yogita is the healer. The one thing we kind of left out of this is it's really good in this case to say Yogita healer southwest. So again, like maybe we give a little direction. So because when you say Yogita's their healer, everyone who's on top of their game, is going to be like, oh, okay, that's the person we need to target. Where are they? And they're going to start kind of looking through all the red names. So we're spending a lot of time commutatively as a team looking for that person. They're off the screen southwest here, but especially since there's only 2 people on screen, it's pretty easy to determine that it's not one of these 2. But if there are a lot of people on the screen, it'd be good to give kind of a direction. Okay, so there's lots of targets being called here. This is a really good example. So Rook says Yogita is the primary target, kill them first. Someone else says, no, just kill the people at the back. And someone else says, let's kill the people right next to us or something. So this is where it's really important to have, like, if there is going to be, there are kind of 2 different philosophies that you can go with for group PvP like this, in my experience, that have worked well, and everyone else's experience, may vary, so I'm not saying that my way of looking at this is the only right way, but there are kind of 2 ways to do PvP well in groups like this. Way 1 is you have someone calling targets like Rook is doing, saying Yogita, and then if you're anywhere near that person, you target that person. That's great. In this case, if you're really clever, you're going to look and see if they have a Zerg buff or how many people are attacking them and assess whether you should attack too. The other one is just to kind of call out the soft targets and let everyone decide which soft target they should be attacking. So objective statements, like third-person statements like Yogita is the healer, Zaro is light DPS, etc., are really good calls, and then everyone decides who they're going to attack. Or you can have someone, calling out who the primary target should be for everyone that's around them. But what's not so good is having people call out different targets. Because then people are just kind of confused. Or they just attack Rook's target that he's calling because they like Rook better, but it still is a little divided. So I say they're coming back, just to let everyone know that not the entire team is running. They're going to try to save the guys in the back, which is just a call to let people know, like if they've got ironclads, they can rush forward. If they've got root person, they can rush forward and get those guys. So we may want to drop off our focus on the guy in the back, since we know that the front ones are turning. Rook calls for heals. Looks like this is mostly a chase. So you can kind of see our group right here. And there's still calls for Yogita to be the primary, but Yogita's, quite a ways out in front. So we're kind of just killing them as they slow down. I think, if you were and I realize pickup groups can't kind of aspire to this level of organization, and that's to be expected. But as we run together more, if there is a primary person calling targets, like Yogita is a really great target to call there, then we would want to have some sort of pre-understood coordination. Like, if Yogita's the primary and we have a glaive and we have claws, or if we have a glaive and a root prison, then whoever is called as a primary target is going to be flung back into the group and locked down, by a tackle, and then that person's killed. Something like that. Otherwise, and I do this too, I am super guilty of doing this, calling a really good kill target that's really slippery, that has a lot of mobility, and we don't have a lot of tackle, and so I'm calling out like a good kill target that really can't be killed because they can't effectively be fixed in their location. Yeah. Does anyone else have any comments really at this point during the chase?
That guy's really handsome.
That guy on the screen by himself?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is us chasing people. And a few of us stop. If we have multiple root prisons and see, like, this was my bad there. That guy was root prisoned. I'm not sure he was root prisoned by, but, like, I could have moved forward ahead of him and gotten the next root prison, I think. Or no, that was my root prison. So someone else with root prison could have ran forward and gotten ready for the next root prison as soon as he escapes from this one. Because we know inevitably the first thing that's going to happen is when my root prison goes down, he's going to punch, sprint, and run. Okay, so at this point, Rook calls off the pursuit, which is good, I think. All right, any comments about that video before we go to the next one? Right. No, I do. And that's the tactic for people that are trying to run or get away. Yeah, you want to be between them and where it is that they're trying to escape to.
Yeah, I left out that. It was, what, 2 people at the very end while we were exiting?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That sometimes you're not playing the full fight. You're just playing your part of the fight, and then the group as a whole operates a lot more effectively. Okay, so that's this one. I don't know why that's my top pick. I don't really was a fan of the opera medley. Do we have the other one yet, Akari, or no?
Not yet.
let's do
What, you've done
the
already?
fives. We did just no. We have the fives still to do.
The fight timestamps are in the comments, Grim.
Okay, thanks. Oh, awesome. Okay, first fight 152. Okay, so this is from the perspective of Team West, and the perspective from Team East is up on the MH forums. Probably a lot of you have seen this. So I say what we should do is probably we'll go blow by blow through these ones, which you probably haven't seen yet, the dig fig ones here, and then what would be really great. I'm super glad that Rook is here. A lot of times we don't have the perspective of what the other team was thinking. We do in this case because we've seen the videos and we hear them talking and planning and stuff, which is good. But I'll talk about what we're trying to do, and then Rook can talk about what they were trying to do, or anyone else from Team East, and that'll make for a really good review. Okay, so Team West, for anyone who wasn't here, Team West ran the same comp. This is our kind of working light cannon comp. We have two different comps. They're very similar. The light cannon comp is Disruptor, which is heavy mace, and then Protector, which is Ironclad Staff to kind of protect the light armored guys in the team. And then the light armored part of the team, the other three are a healer and 2 range DPS, which is what we're using as the light cannon comp. So we run the light cannon comp, I believe, the whole night, and then the East team will switch out to different.
Correct. We only changed flail once after we realized about diminishing returns.
Right, and they changed flail, so you don't get 5 knockbacks, you only get 3. So then we changed to the heavy mace. Okay, so just to be fair, and talk about the strengths and weaknesses of both team. At this point, we have like 2 or 3 different people talking about what they have and talking about some whatever things. So I call clear the channel, even with kind of a veteran group of PvPers, it's necessary sometimes. I'm calling the direction movements for the team, like move south, get ready to turn. I call regroup, face northeast. So that's one of the things that's posted on the forums. So we regroup here. You can see the cannon team in position. So these are the 3 lightly armored people. They're going to try to always, stand in a triangle, which obviously they'll be in a triangle no matter what formation they're in. But they're trying to stay in a triangle that's just outside of a single warbow stun. So close enough together to be an effective team, far enough away that they don't get hit by the same CC. And I say face northeast, which means the 2 heavies should be between the cannon and whichever direction I called. So in this case, I called northeast, and that's exactly the formation that came into being. I called prepare to engage within the next 10 seconds. And I call dive, so we go in. Okay, so this is clutch. Who is Sheila? Is this you, Rook, or someone else? That's Magic. Okay, so this is clutch from Magic right here. So our plan is kind of precipitated on these 3 guys staying kind of nearish each other, so that they can be targeting and attacking the same target. At this point, this is a really good disruption of our team. Super good disruption by Ironclad. And what should be happening is Grim with his Ironclad should be down here trying to move the other disruptor out of the way. And I'm Arthur, so I come back down to try to do that very thing, it looks like. I'm calling the cannon to regroup. And I'm trying to push their disruptor away. And we're calling out targets. It looks like the cannon's kind of functioning properly from our perspective right here. They're attacking a similar target, and the healer is staying in that general area to do heals for the whole team. So this is the light cannon functioning really, really well. I would say the only thing that's off of perfect right now for us is a single any stun would take our whole team right here. So a little bit further apart would be good for positioning, but they're attacking the correct target and everyone's kind of in position. Rook, do you want to talk about the other side of the beginning of the engagement? Yeah, and just in case anyone's thinking that this is the way it goes for every fight, it's not. We go back and forth pretty well, so I would say, so this is a little bit better spread right here on the cannon. Remember the cannon is, well, no, where is the rest of the, this is not a good spread on the, so here's our healer, right? Walter, Brad, Vanilla. So our healer's off a little ways, which is fine. The healer still has range to all of the people. I would say probably if the healer was a little bit closer, it'd be more effective for peels. If the healer's going to need peels, then again, I wasn't doing the best job of peeling. I was trying to
staying
disrupt.
away from their disruptor.
Yeah.
Because he was chasing me.
Yeah. So right there, I see that the disruptor goes for you, and I put him into a root, right, to try to give you that space to move away. And then the knockback just destroys my root, so that was really good. I think there's one down, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's one down at this point. So the next target called is Roman, but Salem goes down. Okay, so Kane goes down just from the dot, I think, from the Warlock staff dot as he's running. And then Roman's the next target called, and that's a good call. And Akari makes this call. Akari, who you guys know, I think, but we're gonna have him rename his guy in season 2, so it's not confusing. So Akari calls Roman right here, and I think that's a good call. Because right now, the healer's light, they're in a good retreat position, and they have more life than Roman, so that's a really good call at this point. So Roman is called, but then the healer dives, and this is an important thing to know too. And again, please forgive me if this is like old hat, but I imagine that everyone doesn't know this. So this is a 3 deep dive by the healer. So if you look at the center of their team, the center of Team East is probably right about here, right? If you were to average the location of all of the people, this is probably where about the center of Team East is. And so from the center, we count how many people: 1, 2, 3 enemies. And so they've dove 3 enemies in right now. So Salem has taken a 3 deep dive, and I'm trying to read the comments too. Okay, good, Akari, thanks. So Salem did a 3 deep dive right here, and this is a really dangerous position for a healer, especially a light healer. And I'm not meaning to pick on anyone, but just for AAR purposes. This is a 3 deep dive on a light healer. This is a really scary position to be in as a healer, especially while the rest of your team is actually actively calling for a shoot and retreat. And I think I see that right here. I just kind of immediately see the dive, and then I immediately go into pushing them, trying to get that separation for a quick kill, because I see the healer out of position.
Hey guys.
Hey, good evening. So then,
What's going on? What's event? Sorry, I'm late.
Yeah, I'm setting mine up now. I just need to transfer it from recording to streaming.
okay, so that's Salem. So that's the healer right there, and then it's 2 down. So now at this point, it's not 5v3. It looks like it's 4v3 because we lost one of our DPS. So still close-ish,
Yeah,
it's
the
4v3.
freaking triple sweeping bolt.
Is that what got you? I didn't notice that.
Not me. It was
That's Warlike, right?
Yeah, it was Warlight. He got murdered right away by 3 sweeping bolts.
Warlike the Warlock?
Yep.
Yeah, there's one. Yeah, okay, so I saw 1 sweeping bolt hit him, but yeah, then the chain cast finishes him off there. There may have been some other sweeping bolts. Oh, the sweeping bolt 2. He's already dead when sweeping bolt 2 comes in, looks like. So this call at this point, after the healer's down, we call Roman again as the primary target. And I think at this point, Team East is just trying to withdraw and get those sweeping bolts in, which was successful right here in the case of Brad. And Roman, interestingly, and I'm not sure this was even a bad thing. Well, yeah. So Roman dives completely, 4 deep. So he's dove 4 deep now. So he's got the entire enemy team between him and friendlies. But I mean, this is a pretty good peel right here that he could have had. So maybe he could have moved northeast. So then I called the entire team to turn on the guy who dove. It may have been good to kind of get our backs turned and get his face in a different direction, but I think ultimately it allows us to kind of regroup and also stay on the target. And Roman goes down. Now, if you'd have run to the north, I'm not sure it would have changed the outcome all that much, but it was interesting that he dove there. Okay, so at this point, I know it's 4v2, and I see that we're a little bit low, and a lot of things can happen in PvP that you're just not expecting. And what I'm trying to do in this case is not just see it as, I'm trying to look at this as if it were a 5v5 GVG match. Like, we want to win at the end of the day, but also kind of every death costs us some gear. So the primary goal is to win. The secondary goal is maybe to conserve some gear. So in this case, instead of going after the 2, I call the group to come back and reform and heal. Or at least to stay on the same screen. So everyone's supposed to be going after Jean right now, and I'm trying to peel Sheila away from Jean for that kill. And that's the end of that fight. So 931. Or any questions or comments for that fight before we go to the next one?
Grim, is there a reason you're not full screen on your YouTube?
No, there's not. Okay, sweet. So the next one is, I guess maybe that was a slight reason. 931. Okay, so at this point we've still got the flail. Charlotte is the disruptor, Arthur is the protector, and then the cannon, the 3 lights are right here. So this is not a bad formation. This is pretty good movement. So the call here was contact northeast. Let's get them. which is being excited about the PvP, which is what we want. I mean, this is a video game. It's cool to be excited. I have to say, nope, we're not gonna go get them. Follow me northwest. We're gonna go around a different way. Okay, so at this point I call regroup face southeast. So this is really good. Same thing again. And this is a call I think that will benefit everyone who's leading, whether it's me or Rook or anyone else who's leading PvP. So I call the regroup and face southeast, which means, everyone get into kind of your formation, your battle formation, like Rook was talking about before. And then since I said face southeast, that means we anticipate aggression from the southeast. So our tackles and fixers, or whatever you want to call these heavies, should be between the rest of our group in the direction that we anticipate aggression from. Do we want to take a quick second? I don't want people to necessarily miss stuff while we're transitioning to the other stream.
Yeah, I'm gonna test out the other one.
Alright, I'm going to take like a 30-second break and refill my drink real quick, and I will be right back.
Let me know if it keeps buffering for you guys, and I can change it.
You want to try playing it for a bit, Dig?
I can't control his screen. That's his computer.
Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha.
I mean, they could stream the videos.
Well, I'm trying to think. I'm gonna talk to him about the workaround later if his network can't handle it.
How is YouTube streaming for this kind of thing?
The problem is Grim, I think, is on college campus. Our internet's not great for streaming.
Okay.
Oh, you mean why can't? I'm sorry, I just got back. Are you asking why I can't stream? I think my internet's actually pretty awesome. I've got special rules attached to my account because I know the guys at the IT. My internet's pretty rocking here. It's just I set the delay to 0 and there's like a 15-second delay, but it's super smooth. Doing the stream. So maybe I'll try to just stream directly. I mean, I will definitely stream directly rather than Google Plus into a stream next time. But I can't set it up quite as quick. Anyway, one thing I wanted. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
buffering for everyone? I was just gonna ask if it keeps buffering for people or not.
Yeah, right now it is on yours.
It is for me.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it for a second.
Well, do you want to take a minute and try to see if I can broadcast? I'm good to keep plowing ahead, but in any case, one thing I wanted to say, I just realized is I said when not to dive. I said, like it's very dangerous for a healer to dive 3 deep, in light armor. So you might come away with the impression like, oh, never dive. That's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to dive. That's how you die. But sometimes it is appropriate to dive in PvP. So a disruptor is always going to be diving into the enemy team, but they've got that heavy armor to kind of protect them. Another time when it's appropriate to dive is if you're a lightly armored melee person and you're waiting for that moment. That moment is probably not against a heavily armored target that's full of life. Because if you dive into the enemy team, you will die before your target dies. But if you have a lightly armored target, let's say, that's at half life, that's kind of behind the enemy lines, you might be able to dive in, finish that target, and get back. So really, always what you're doing is a benefit risk analysis continually. And you start to just kind of feel that benefit risk analysis instinctually as you play. So the benefit is I can get this kill. I know that if I dive 3 deep, 4 deep, etc., I can kill that person in their back line. If I were to kill that person and die, would that be a good trade for my team? If the answer is yes, then dive. If you're saying, if I were to dive right now, I could kill that person, but they're almost dead anyway and they'll probably die. Is it worth sacrificing myself for my team? The answer is no, probably not. So then the benefit doesn't outweigh the risk. If you say to yourself, I know I can dive into the enemy team. I know I can kill that person that's pretty low on life, that's lightly armored in the back. And I have like an 80% chance of getting back alive. Is that benefit? Is that, risk, that 20% risk of me dying, worth the benefit of me helping finish off the other person? The answer might be yes, but that's really kind of just a decision, a quality, decision that you get better at making those decisions the more you PvP. So I didn't want to give the impression that it's never good to dive, because there are a number of reasons why it's good to dive. Is it ever good to dive as a healer, especially in light armor? In this game that I've seen, that would be a really rare circumstance. Like, I need to dive because I have a knockback that's crucial at this moment or something, but probably not. Sweet. Okay, so have we resolved the streaming thing, or should we try something else, Dig?
Dig, you want to try playing?
Well, Grim has to play. It's his screen.
Or yeah, Grim, sorry.
I'm staring
Okay.
at a still screen still.
Okay, so I just started playing. What's the delay? Has it started moving on your screen yet?
Nah, we'll let you know. Yeah, it just started. About 5 seconds. It's about the same, honestly.
Well, Grim's screen is twitching to all of us. This is what it looks like for us live on his thing too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me either. It's really just, it doesn't have to be
Just
good
turn back.
graphics.
Yeah, and next week I'll stream directly. Since
Oh.
we know we can't do 10 people in Hangouts now, which we didn't know, I'll just stream.
My video's up, Grim.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the beginning of that fight again, or at least this is what I'm seeing. You'll see it in like 5 seconds. So I call for everyone to run in at this point, but the crossbow thing worked a lot better at this point than it did on attempt number 1. You can see that our cannon is in a really good position right here, actually. Like, this is a really superior positioning for the cannon, so I'm super proud of, you know, the guys that are doing really well right here. We have our disruptor moving in. He's actually drawing some fire, it looks like, which is awesome. You guys probably don't want to waste your DPS on the disruptor. But so he's drawing some fire, he's going in to disrupt, that's great. And the protector is actually in a position too to be able to pull away. The downside is those crossbow shots were really well placed. And it looks like we're about halfway dead on 2 of our guys in just the opening couple seconds of the volley. Do you have anything you want to say about that, Rook? Good. Morale is important for aim.
Hey Grim, real quick, since I joined late, can you just call out which characters are, you know, which roles?
Yeah, no problem. So Charlotte here, with the flail, is the disruptor. Their primary responsibility is to go in and disrupt the one person on the team that is most crucial to their being able to do their plan, if that makes sense. So if we were to remove one person from the enemy team, what person would we want to remove to make their whole tactic fall apart? That's the question that disruptor is asking themselves.
Got it.
So that disruptor, in this case, so that the answer is usually the healer. If we were able to just remove one person completely from the enemy team, what would make them crumple the fastest? The answer is usually the healer. But if they have like an abnormally good ironclad staff, then maybe that's the person that will make their team, you know, crumple the fastest. So the disruptor's looking for that person. I originally was kind of thinking, well, the disruptor's always just going to, you know, babysit the enemy healer, but it's not really the case. I'm thinking now the disruptor actually has to have a pretty good working knowledge of almost every comp that we're going to come up against to be able to make that really crucial call of what's the linchpin of the other team. And all of this stuff, I think is written. We have this on the forums too. All the stuff I'm saying right now is on the Mostly Harmless forums. Arthur here is the protector, the ironclad staff. This is actually me playing this role, and my job is just to protect the 3 lightly armored people. 2 of them are ranged DPS, and 1 healer. And then the East team here has a kind of a protector role, and then a healer, and then 3 ranged crossbows. So it's very similar. They're just minus. We have a disruptor and a protector. They have 1 ironclad staff, and they trade out the other one for a crossbow.
This is the comp that Volk was telling me about, I think.
Could be. Yeah, this is the comp that we were working on before he decided he didn't want to play anymore until release. Okay. So really good shot by Team East. It's got us like rocking back on our heels at this point. So at this point, we start kind of shooting a little bit. Oh, that was way too far. I'm sorry. At this point, we start shooting a little bit. Walter moves really far southeast, it looks like. I think maybe to chase someone? I'm not sure. And so we've got one part of the cannon down here, and the other 2 parts of the cannon up here. I'm standing here waiting to peel away. What I should have done, since there's no melee DPS coming in, I should have charged straight for the firing squad here, and ironclad staff knocked them around and pushed them back to try to get some breathing room.
Well, you
No,
peeled
no,
the
I'm
guy
chasing
off us right next
Sheila.
to us. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't even see that. It was hidden. You're right. Okay, so that is what I'm thinking. I'm trying to peel Sheila off. And that is what I do. But then the firing squad just does a really good number on our lightly armored guy that was already half dead. I'll try to remember too that you're seeing the video 5 seconds after, so maybe I'll pause and talk so you can see which one we're talking about. And then just there's a really good change of DPS too. As soon as Brad goes down, all 3 of the ranged DPS on East target Walter. It's just a lightning fast switch, which is really pro. Rook, were you guys say something? Okay, so at this point, I'm saying that all of our DPS needs to focus on someone. And we don't have any left. No, we have Walter. That's right. We've only lost Brad at this point. So I'd say really good heals at this point. I mean, for the fact that really we had, you know, almost 3 people dead at the beginning, we've kind of come back life-wise and started pushing. Charlotte's taking a lot of damage, but that's really kind of good because a lot of that's being mitigated, and we can make up for that damage with less healing to try to get our team back to full. So right here, the East team is doing a really great job of just focus firing. The healer looks like they switched from the DPS to the healer. I tried to lock down the enemy team to allow the healer to move out of range, get some life back. It's a really good ice block. Digfig calls for heals, or calls for a peel, I think. So this is really not too bad. The East team moves away. I think the East team right here probably could have finished the kill without really any danger of losing a guy. Let's see. I may have gone back not far enough. So at this point we see, I guess Kane is a little low, but everyone else on red team is doing pretty good life-wise. So I would say here, I mean, this is just personally, you know, personal preference. I'd say here I would probably, as East team, push or lock down and continue the kill. Salem was from full to half there pretty quick, it looks like. So I guess really before East team pulls back, they do have 2 guys at half-life, so that makes sense. Although to be honest, you know, you can see like our healer is pretty crucial. That was a really good ice block. I think the ice block is what put the momentum right here of that kill. So that ice block was super crucial. One thing that I think really kind of separates higher end World of Warcraft arena teams from lower level World of Warcraft arena teams is their ability to be pressuring one target, have that target move out of range or ice block or whatever they're going to do, you know, blink away behind a crate, ice block, whatever they do, and they switch immediately to one target and they don't have to call for the previous target. So like they're going out, they're shooting a mage or something, they're shooting some lightly armored target, that one ice blocks just like here. Then they switch to the rogue, but they all know intrinsically the moment that ice block is done, we all automatically switch back. And they're even counting. Each one of them is counting in their own mind. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, switch back. So that pressure picks up immediately where it left off. In this case, it may not be possible because of positioning, but that's just one thing to kind of remember. Just because someone ice blocks doesn't mean you want to switch to another target and then focus that target out until it's dead. Oftentimes, especially if it's the healer and there's only one healer, if they ice block, they're still the most tasty target on the field. You just, you know, switch your pressure momentarily before you switch it back. Looks like Charlotte's still taking a lot of damage here, but they're also very heavily armored, which is allowing us to cheat a little bit and survive longer than we should have been able to. Yeah, you can see right here, we're kind of ducks in a row. It may not have updated yet on the Twitch stream, but yeah, the sweeping bowl right here, we're kind of asking for it, being ducks in a row. Or in a straight line. I think ducks in a row communicates, though. That's what we call it in the army. That's why you stagger when you're marching down a road. Okay, so yeah, actually Charlotte, even though heavily armored, looks like it's, I think, goes down right here. So this is a really good peel. I think really we're surviving far longer than we should have. We got some really strong heals going on. I think where we finally get the nail in the coffin is right here, where their ironclad staff peels our healer away, and then Charlotte probably goes down. Yeah, there it is. So that was a really clutch peel from the healer away from the rest of the group. That's what disrupting's about. It's about finding the linchpin, the thing that's keeping their team going. whether it's the healer or like a really good disruptor, and removing that from the equation long enough to break the team. So at this point, we're calling to target Kane, but I'm over here attacking Kane, and then Sheila's doing a good job of keeping the team separated again. But then again, at this point, it's 3v5, so we're pretty broken at this point. This is something kind of interesting. You have Walter as a target right here to the east, and our healer up here to the north. And I did notice there was a lot of damage coming on me, and this is a heavy target with the defensive cooldown up, so you can see I'm doing like 828. This is not the best target right here. Some more clutch healing. And you can see right here, even with everyone attacking me, just a couple hots from this nature staff, and I stay up just fine. So it might be scary. It's uneasy, especially at first when you begin PvPing, to have a heavy person near you and not want to try to focus that person down, because it seems like they're the biggest threat, but they're really not. It's a game of moving away, getting some space, throwing out a root, throwing a knockback, just kind of pushing that heavy away as an annoyance, and targeting those softer targets, and then coming back and finishing the heavies at the end. Right. Well, and I think it's a different kind of pressure. I think that's true. And then also, caveat, it's a different type of pressure. So a heavy ironclad staff can mess up your entire day. So it is pressure, and you would want to remove it, but there's appropriate ways to remove the pressure. The way that you remove the pressure of a lightly armored DPS character is by killing them. The way that you remove the pressure of a really skillful ironclad staff is not by killing them, because they're wearing heavy armor. If that was a tool to remove the pressure, then you could remove it that way, but you can't. You have to use, separation, roots, knockbacks, etc. So they're both pressure in different ways.
Did the crossbow run out of mana? Okay.
So at this point, East team starts attacking the healer on West team, which is really good, except puts a lot more pressure on us than putting the damage on the tank. And here, they give they give our healer an impossible situation. We're a little bit spread out. I try to move all of their DPS away, so I push most of the DPS away, which is good. It gives us a little bit of breathing room, but now we're so spread out that the healer really can't effectively keep us all up. It's a really good warbow stun, though, hitting both of the guys that were chasing him. And at this point, again, you can see, just like on the last fight, the team is broken when the healer gets separated right here. Still, though, good job moving around the field and stuff. And
They
really
just
good
chased
targeting
me
there
for
towards
like a
the end.
minute after this.
Yeah. But pretty good mobility. Plus keeping us up, all those different hots, and the situational awareness on the field was really good.
Who's playing Ludmilla?
It's Digfig. 1942. All right. Any comments or questions about Fight 2? intent is to go for a 2-hour event, so we've got about another hour, and I'd really like to get in the other 2 fights plus the yellow dungeon if we can. Okay, so moving right along, 1942. This is fight 3. It might be. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. I don't remember it. I mean, you clean our clocks on either this one or the 4th one.
The very last one, we get our shit kicked in.
All right. Well, we'll see why. That's what analysis night is about. We can do some good analysis on why that happened so quickly. Okay, so on this point, you can see like, oh hey, Grim, where did that really sweet, light cannon formation go? On this point, we changed our formation because we just didn't want to present any lines where 3 or 4 crossbow bolts could go through any of us. So this is a little bit of an adaptation to what we expect to be the triple crossbow. So at this point, we're trying to stay spread out and look for crossbows to see if we're facing the same thing or not. And I called for the cannon to stay back a little bit so we could get an earlier dive and see if we can draw some of those crossbow bolts into our heavy armored guys. And here, Team East, I think, is doing a really good job of finding a narrow choke point and dropping those caltrops right in through this narrow point, so we have really no choice but to hit them. And you can see that we both do eat those caltrops. So, our ironclad tries to disrupt by knocking them north. Their ironclad moves in and tries to knock us around. And I noticed we're a little over a screen, it looks like. I doubt that their ironclad can see the rest of their guys. So I call isolated man, which is their guy is far enough away that we might be able to get a quick cheesy kill, even though he's heavily armored. Which is why everyone starts attacking their heavy. It looks like it's not going to work out for us. They come back to reinforce. I move up and try to root prison. This root prison is not to keep Sheila in. It's really just to keep the rest of the team from Sheila. I was kind of hoping we'd have a lockdown, but I guess in this comp we don't have as much fixing ability as we would like. We don't really have the ability to have Sheila.
Oh,
We don't really have the ability to have Sheila so much
you're allergic to
locked
the,
down here away from the rest of the guys.
you cough one of the.
Well done.
Thanks. So Sheila, we couldn't keep locked down. He got back to the rest of the group. So my root prison, which was to keep the rest of East team away from Sheila, didn't work. Sheila got back into the formation. So we switched targets. Now Walter's really low here, and I have no idea why. Is that what it was? Let's see. Walter's full of life. Okay, so this is probably why. I don't know why this happens necessarily, but so Walter gets really far away from the rest of the cannon, which is down here.
Does that mean?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say it though, man. So so this would be a really good move if there was someone that was really super low on life and he was moving to take advantage of that kind of opportunity and then move back to the cannon. Otherwise, he's gonna, in this particular comp, he wants to stay near the rest of the cannon in order to get that protection from the peels and stuff. So actually right here, we're back in position though, pretty much. Oh, it was 2. That was the one kind of from this more obtuse angle, and then the second one was more of an acute angle shot. So yeah, that's 2 sweeping bolts in a row. Goes from full down to 2 boxes.
And then Dig saves me, anyways.
Yeah. It's dangerous in 5s to run 3 crossbows. I mean, you either have to get that quick kill right off the bat, or you kind of get picked off. You picked apart. Oh right, yeah. You're got your feet planted. So right here, what I would kind of like to see a little bit more is to have cannon team be a little closer together. We're a little spread out. We got one DPS way down here, one way up here. And what this allows us to do is you can see that it's kind of a dive. This is almost like a 3-person dive. It's kind of hard to see when they're off to the side. But in this case, this light DPS, the Warlock for us, the rest of the enemy team has access to him, and we don't have as good of ability to access our own guy and to peel for him. So even though it doesn't look like a dive, this is actually like, I would either call this a 3 dive or a 4 dive. So being lightly armored in DPS doing a 3 or 4 dive is a way to get killed really quick. And I think each team sees that, and they switch targets to the DPS here. Right, so that's the number of people deep. So if you were to picture, we are standing in the circle down here in the south part, and the other team is standing in the north part up here. If you dive 3 or 4 deep, if you put 3 or 4 enemy players between you and the rest of your group, what that essentially means is the other team has better access to you than your own team does. So even though this doesn't look like a dive because there's not, physically red people between us, the same principle still applies. That 3 or 4 people on the enemy team have access to you, and your own team really doesn't have access to you. Ludmilla can't reach you without becoming vulnerable. Like, our healer would have to put themselves in a position of danger in order to reach for heals right now. So this is really just like a dive that Brad is doing. And the East team switches, which is really good. This is a great play, I think, by East team to switch to the player that's out of position. And out of position is just a term that's commonly used for you're standing in a place that is not so good. You're taking more risk than the potential benefit of where you're standing. So there is benefit for him being up here. He's got really great access to the rest of the team to cast on him. But the risk is he's going to take a lot more damage, and he's dove 3 or 4 deep. Then Brad pulls an ice block, which is good. And I call for Salem in the northwest. Someone says he's running. Yeah, this is a great... Okay, so a few things to say about this position now. There's a lot of damage pressure being put on East team, and you can see their healers down to really low, so this is kind of a critical edge of your seat moment for East team. That's probably mostly what they're concerned about, is their healer has got 1 box of life left. But if you also note, East is in a pretty bad, or West team, which is the yellows here, West team's in a pretty bad spot because our 2 main chasers, and our protector and our disruptor, are both sitting with caltrops on. Can't hardly move at all. And we put ourselves all in a really tight spot here. So a single warbow stun, despite the fact that there's not a warbow, could get us. But more appropriately, I think you guys did have root prisons, and a single root prison could get our whole team right here, which I think is what happens. Yeah, that is what happens. So 4 of us get stuck in the same root prison, which very well could have allowed Salem to have the breathing room they needed to escape what should have been a certain death right here. Which actually does happen, looks like. Okay, so the only reason Salem escapes and doesn't go down at this very moment is because we're all so tightly packed in. So, like I said before, we want that cannon team, those 3 light players, and this applies probably for just about any comp. All of your light players, you want them to be generally in the same area so they can heal and they can target similar targets, and they're not diving in any way, either like a side dive, like we just saw demonstrated, or a direct dive, like you're going, directly through the enemy team. And also spread out enough that you can get hit everyone by a single root prison. Well, root prison's harder because it has a bigger diameter, but definitely not a warbow stun. And if you see that you've got an enemy heavy in the middle of you, maybe you spread out even a little bit more while there's heavies in the middle of your formation, and then maybe you get a little bit closer together when there's not, because of that root prison. So it looks like the healer gets away and gets about half their life left because of that really good root prison down here. And this, I think right here you can see just an excellent display of like the Ironclad dilemma. So is Ironclad a great disruptor? It is in a way, because it can toss around our team like you just saw right there and kind of disrupt for a moment and knock away our ability to really effectively engage a target. But unlike a heavy mace, which can silence for a longer period of time, if the enemy team doesn't really get frustrated by getting knocked around a little bit and they can regroup and get back into good position quickly, the Ironclad doesn't do quite as much in the disrupting role, I think, as some other weapons can. I think heavy mace can do a little bit better of a disruptor role. For protector, just kind of peeling guys, I think the Ironclad is probably peerless. But in the disruptor role, which is what's happening, right here, you can see the people get knocked around a little bit, but just get back into position pretty quick. And the healer goes down. So Shayla's call is the next target right here. And I think East team at this point is dropping caltrops, because I see we've got some caltrops here and probably lining up the next crossbow shot. There's a good sweeping bolt. You can see that sweeping bolt's great. It takes Charlotte, Arthur, and Brad. Another sweeping bolt. Although in this case, those sweeping bolt only went through the heavies, and as you can see, it just doesn't hurt all that much if it's heavies. Now Sheila's really isolated, and Sheila's the kill target. So this is just a beautiful example of what we want to have happen. Now, granted, the fight's probably pretty over, I think, because the healer's down. I think that's the only one that's down right now, I think. But what you can see right here, this is perfect. We've got the disruptor on the kill target, and the cannon is all at the kill target too. And then the protector is actually still doing the protecting role by keeping the enemy DPS away from our cannon, from our light guys. So this is a pretty ideal positioning for the light cannon meta. And you set this up, so how do we get into this position? You set this up by putting pressure on kind of some multiple guys until they want to kind of run and break, and you choose one and isolate that one guy. So if you're only putting pressure on one person, the rest of the team won't kind of move away or try to break. But if you're putting pressure on a multiple guys, you all turn on one while the protector moves out and deals with the rest of the team. So at this point, we just regroup and heal.
I'm pretty sure they called fight over, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
We go back to house.
Yep. Okay, so questions about that fight or comments? Improves or sustains?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember with that specific fight, things got very disrupted. Like we got forced into like that chokehold, and I remember I couldn't really do much with the arcane stuff. And then the healer got kind of in too deep and got focused down before I could even like get the invulnerability on him. And it just, I think a lot of it was positioning and stuff too. Like we really got into like a bad area there.
And I think in that case too. Oh, sorry, you go first, bro. I was just gonna say, I think that was a good comment from Raven about positioning. Even though I keep talking about the positioning of the West team here and the light cannon meta, it equally applies. Those three light crossbows are like their own cannon team, and so they want to apply some of those same positioning rules. Stay within about 6 meters of each other, spread out enough that CC doesn't get all of them, but close enough together that they can effectively engage the similar targets and that sort of thing. And it makes it easier to peel for them. If they're like a screen away from each other, you can't peel for two guys that are a screen away. But if they're close enough together, you can peel for everybody. Okay, so here's fight 404. I think this one falls apart for West Team really fast, and I don't know why, so we'll figure it out together. Okay, so we charge in with the heavies. So we call target on their healer again. Now see what happens a lot of time, what's really good is if you're ironclad. Now I'm disrupting and not protecting, so I screwed up right here. I should not have been doing what I was doing right there with that ironclad staff. But if they let you move into the middle of their team, if you're an ironclad staff and they allow you to dive 2 or dive 3, right? You've got 2 or 3 guys on one side and 2 or 3 guys on the other side. You hit that whirlwind and spin around a little bit, and their team, is all of a sudden flung like a screen apart. So this is what we're going for here. Looks like we're still kind of together, so not too bad. We're pretty tight here, but so it looks like we have a couple guys wander into the, or one guy wander into the root prison here.
Yeah, definitely.
I also want to say you guys did a very good regrouping and positioning by going around the outside. No one came inside.
Yeah, you were pissed.
Okay then.
I don't remember this fight too much. I remember the one before it.
Okay, so at this point, I'm still playing the kind of, well, no, I'm not really playing the disruptor role, so it's weird. The protector, their job is to try to, separate the enemy DPS from our lightly armored targets, our cannon. And since you guys kept going with ranged characters and no melee, I can't sit on top of our guys to protect them from melee, so I have to kind of reach out a little further to protect our cannon team. So ideally, what our cannon team should be doing right here is, since they're kind of allowing me to push the DPS around out on the outer border there, granted, they have a disruptor in the middle of us too, but we should all be sitting in here in a kind of a cannon comp in a good formation, attacking whatever lightly target is presenting itself, in this case Gene. But instead of doing that, I'm calling kill the healer, even though the healer is not the best target. Gene is definitely the best target, and the team is very dutifully looking for the healer for the kill. So in this case, this is my bad for calling Gene as the target, or ideally, the protector's not calling the targets anyway. The primary range DPS, which in this case is the warlock, is the one that's choosing the targets. Their job should always be to be directing the 2 guys next to them as far as positioning and killing. But we just don't have that kind of synergy with the team yet, because I've only played with warlock maybe 3 or 4 times, I think, as far as like PvP. So he would be the one. Normally, whoever is in this position, this primary range DPS position, would be calling the targets, and they would be calling Gene, and you would not have the protector calling some target that's really far out. Okay, so this is Kite. There's a Caltrop to the left there. Our disruptor hits the snare. The rest of the team kind of continues on without the disruptor. It's kind of hard to see what's happening. I think what I'm trying to do is just keep half the team on one side and half the team on the other to try to keep the cannon from being together, the enemy cannon, which reduces the amount of pressure on our team. Well, at the same time, our team, the West team, is going after their healer kind of relentlessly. Yeah, and at that point too, the target switches to Sheila, and then they have to move away from the wall. So I think it's good. It's particularly good if we've got a bunch of melee and you're ranged in using the wall. It's super good. The wall's kind of a two-way street a little bit, in that the wall just slows down the pursuing force.
How
I
long
would
do
agree
clap
with
traps
that.
last on
A
the
long
ground?
time. It sounds like forever.
Well, then
Felt like
one of
forever.
crossbow should have pre-prepped the coming around the wall and put them on that corner where Arthur is right now. That's true. If they weren't on cooldown, but just a note that usually would want to prep your defensive position.
Yeah,
In
it's
that fatal
actually
funnel.
it's only been about 3 or maybe 4 seconds. It's really fast. Like from
Yeah.
when they pushed up.
Yeah, we did charge up the side here really fast. You're right, it seems longer because all the pausing. Kane is kind of isolated here, but I still don't think we go after Kane. Although that would have been an acceptable call right here, because you can see now our cannon is right here on the east side of the map. Charlotte, our disruptor, is there, and then I'm down here protecting by just knocking around the DPS. So we could have actually switched to Kane right there, especially with the healer down and knowing that he's not going to get heals. Yeah, he's heavy, but he's only got 2 boxes. I don't think we do that though. Okay, so this is one of the roles. We do have 2 ranged DPS, but specifically we have the Warlock's staff and we have the Warbow. The Warbow's responsibility wearing medium is they're a little bit more maneuverable. Or no, I'm sorry, they wear light chest, but they have blink and frost shot and sprint, so super maneuverable. This bottom archer character. And so this is really good. Ikari calls that he's going to go kill Sheila because Sheila was low and running. So he separates and isolates from the team to go finish that kill real quick and then come back. So that's really good. We're calling Janine as the target right here. It's not me though. Someone else calls the target for the first time. But I think we still kill Kane first. It's Warlike. Starts calling targets right here. But we kill Kane first. And then I think it's kind of over at this point. Okay, any questions or comments about that fight? Yeah, that's a really good point. It's a really good point to keep to have the heavies come back to the healer and not have to have the healer overextend, because the healer has to break their positioning, their good position, to move and heal someone who's out of position. But as long as the rest of your team is in good position, which means if you're a heavy, you start coming back when you're at about half life, depending on how far you've dove in, then it allows that healer to maintain a good position. That's super true.
What healer type do you like best in these groups like this?
For vibes, I think it's nature hands down, isn't it? I'm not the best person to answer that question. Dig or Akari, you want to talk about that?
I think nature, but they were using holy.
I like holy. It really depends on your team comp.
Yeah, it's really all the instacasts that Rook is talking about, that mobility. It's all those instacasts that nature has that are just really good. If you have a comp that's really dedicated to allowing you to plant your feet, like for instance this lightning comp that we're running,
straight on diving
if
with me up front, I will
they have the ability to plant their feet a lot because they have a dedicated protector with an ironclad staff. Now if the enemy was running more melee, that protector would stay a lot closer to the lightly armored guys and peel continually. And so you have the ability to plant your feet a little bit more in a comp like the one that we're running. So maybe you could argue holy staff like that. But if we were like in a melee heavy team, or heaven forbid, we were running like a light armor melee DPS, that's going to be diving into the enemy team and running back, I have a feeling your healer's going to be chasing that person around a lot. And so you'd have a lot less ability to plant your feet and cast. So nature would be even better in that kind of comp. But in ours, maybe it's arguable. But I personally am leaning towards nature right now in the current balance of the game.
You'll also see that I try and pre-heal both heavies before an engagement with the nature. It's the hots.
Yeah, I was watching you cast the hots early.
So they go in with 5 seconds of triple stack hot, so I do not have to worry about them with the initial burst.
Hey, Grim, what are the stronger range DPS right now? Obviously, is subject to change, but I'm just curious what you think the top tiers are right now.
What they're using in like the highest matches, from what I've seen, is arcane, or not arcane stuff, but curse staff, because it's got a little bit of that armor shred for heavier targets. And there's just some other things, like I've seen ice staff, I've seen fire, I've seen a few different things. Right now, I currently am kind of preferring repeating crossbow, the 0.3 crossbow, because it's just good, and the curse staff are the two that I'm kind of preferring. But we run, and that's for the primary range DPS position. If we were just going to be doing 5v5 fights, I would not run Warbow, personally. But we run Warbow in this comp because it's not just about killing the enemy team, it's also about taking nodes that are unprotected. And I want someone that can move really fast, snatch a node, and come back for the next team fight. And so we're running a Warbow with light chest because they have Frost Shot and Blink and Sprint, so they can move to a point, snatch a point, and get back really fast. Or commensurately, if they have someone run away that's low on life, and I needed someone to run down someone and kill them, that Warbow is particularly well suited for that.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. The defenseless rush.
Yeah, I think they do. Akari, is that what you're running on the helm?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool. That's actually what I was messing around with on the playground server last night.
Yeah, blink, frost shot, defensive rush, and any sprint. I'm just gone.
And then one more question. I assume that the protector role is usually going to run with heavy armor, like for a chest piece.
Right, because their job is to not only give peels to the lightly armored guys, but also to try to absorb, like Warbow stuns, or absorb some of that damage, get up front, see if the enemy will make mistakes and target your heavies, that sort of thing. Now on this one, we thought, we're probably going to be facing the same thing, since we've kind of been facing the same thing. And I said, no matter what we do, we're just going to rush in and get right in the middle of them this time. So this is not necessarily a problem that you have in GVGs because they're probably running the same comp. So the second time you engage them, you kind of know what you're going up against. But I said we're just going to rush right in the middle of them, which I think does not serve us well. Okay, so what is happening here?
Well, if you pause it back, this is what I was talking about, where half our team went left, half the team went right, and I was like, well, I don't know where to go.
Okay, so at this point, this is kind of where the engagement starts. So they've got 3 guys on the west and 2 on the east. I see that that's the picture that I'm looking for. That can I toss their team around by splitting them in half and throwing them around the map. So I start my whirlwind here. And it looks like, yeah. So that's really, I think, what gets us. But we're targeting your healer, I think, with our DPS pretty well. We've got our 2 DPS.
Is this the last fight?
Here. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I had the healer out of the fight the whole time, and then you got 2 people at dynamite. We're screwed.
Okay, so right here, it looks like both of our guys are engaging the same target on the enemy team, which is great. The healer is near the other 2, so this is a decent position for the cannon, not the best. And I think I have no earthly idea that they have a lightly armored melee DPS on my healer. Otherwise, I would not be trying to split the enemy team, which is kind of a disrupting move as much as it's a protecting move. And I would have just been sitting on the healer, stunning Roman. So Digfig calls for peels right here. Very good. I say I'm coming to you. Okay, what does this position look like? So in this position, I see only 4 of the east players. It looks like our archer is chasing. I don't know if the last one's really low on life, but it looks like our archer's going to chase, which might be the right move. I'm not sure. And Brad is really low. Is it the healer you're chasing down there, Akari? Do you remember?
One. I had the healer the whole time off to the left, or off to the southwest.
I think that's the target we called. So ideally what we would have done here is inverted. So if Brad and the healer would have been able to continue west with the archer, then this would have become the new choke point for the peel. But they may not have been able to do that because of all the pressure that was on them. We'll see. It looks like you come back here. And our heal goes from like over half life, I think, to almost dead from the daggers.
Well, that's why I ran that way, because I was trying to avoid a 3rd stack from his dagger staff. Or his daggers away from him, or I was going to insta-die. And they almost did it anyways, as you can see.
Right.
And I missed my ice block misclick, so I just die, and that's it.
Debatable.
What I like about it with the nature staff is all of my hots still heal me and I take no damage while I'm in ice. Which you'll notice in the last fight too, I have my hot on me healing me while you guys are all primarying me, so I went back up to half health. Well, in ice block.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
I think half of that was our complacency. Not ready for that at all.
Yeah, well, definitely. If there is any melee DPS that's lightly armored, probably ever, at least for this light cannon comp, we are gonna have the disruptor go on the healer, and all of us are gonna kill that melee.
Well, another thing I want to talk about that fight is our initiation. We formed up on one side, half you went left, half you went right, and then we reversed our formation on the other side, which leaves our last person, like you saw, I was out of position and isolated where that dagger came up behind me. Because we inverted by going around them on both sides.
Yeah, totally agree. We should not split like that. It puts us about 3 or 4 seconds behind on reforming.
Yeah.
Totally true. So on that sort of thing, we're gonna call out range. We'll have a name for them because we don't want to say, "Hey, there's a lightly armored melee DPS." So we'll have a term for it, whatever it is. Rogue, maybe. Like they have a rogue, or Roman's a rogue or something. And then, so no matter what it is, if it's daggers or a scythe or whatever it is, if they're lightly armored, they're melee, and they're melee DPS, we'll just call them a rogue probably. And we'll say, so and so is a rogue, and then everyone will know what to do in that case. Just like Rook was talking about before, it's about playing your position. So the disruptor will know if there's a rogue called out on the enemy team. The disruptor knows my job is to go after the enemy healer, while everyone else kills the rogue, so that the rogue can't get heals, because the rogue is a really quick and easy kill if we identify him with 2 ranged DPS that are getting peels. That melee DPS doesn't have a prayer if he's anywhere near us. So we'll call the rogue out. But I mean, that was really, really good experience for us to get to see that, I think. Okay, so at this point, Brad is being called as the primary target. Oh wait, is this the correct fight? Yeah, it is. Okay, so the healer's just gone down from the daggers. Brad is called as the new primary target. He ice blocks. Yeah. At this point, you have 2 down real quick. You've got our healer, which is the most important thing. You've got 1 over 2 range DPS, so I think we're chasing somebody. So at this point, East team is pretty spread out. West team is together-ish, but of course we don't have heals. I'm trying to isolate a little bit. The interesting thing about ironclad fights is you sometimes don't want to be the ironclad that initiates first. For whatever reason, it seems like if you're the guy that initiates second, you can knock the other guy out of the whirlwind pretty well. Walter's being called as the primary, which is the correct target. It's the only lightly armored character that we have left on our team.
Well, if I wasn't fast enough, Grim would yell at me.
Yeah, so I think this is. Yeah, I think that was good all around. But I think what decided the fight was, like we were saying before, it was just that it was the rogue. Yeah, it was the rogue not being dealt with appropriately, which took away the formation up there. Hey, good night. So in the last 13 minutes or so of our time together tonight, or a couple hours of doing cinema analysis together, I'd really like to go and check out that the yellow dungeon. Do we have the link for that, Akari?
Yeah, it should be. No, it's on the Doodle Drive.
Oh, on the Brethren website?
Yeah, try not to put it there.
No, that's fine.
It's MH versus Val.
Doesn't look like it's 720. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we've got how many?
We were
8.
outnumbered, I know that, by 1 or 2. 1?
Okay, so at this point, you can see that our rest of our team is down here spreading out. I'm getting ready to call the simultaneous flagging, and I've got Renoa gathering a little bit of intel. We're kind of waiting to see how far out they are before we flag, so we don't really want to be caught in the process of flagging.
You know you can hold your mouse button down to run Renoa.
I know, I did that from League.
Too long playing League of Legends.
You can hold it down in League 2.
I don't do that though.
Okay, so
If he does got a problem with it, don't watch it.
so here Renoa gives a little count on him. Okay, so we'll skip some. He comes back to us. I called the simultaneous flag. Everyone's flagging at the same time. Very professional. Looks good. Renoa, what are you doing here?
Probably switching gear.
Yeah. So here we're getting ready to engage. Kari's clicking on the map down here on the right. You can see he's shown us where where he thinks that they are. I think it's pretty close to reality. I think he's guessing that they're down there based on how far they should have been by this point. They just really didn't make that much progress. Okay, so right now, I'm calling for us to stay spread out. I know that there were a little bit more people, and I remember I was having a little bit of difficulty because I was trying not to use too many terms that would not communicate well. So we're spreading out a little bit, and we're kind of assessing them. And what we're trying to do right now is we're staying spread out. This is a great. I mean, look at how perfectly we're kind of checkerboarded here. This is really good formation. And what we're trying to do is see if we can get any easy ultimates burned. We're trying to burn their, pole hammer stuns and other stuff like that. See if they're going to make those mistakes of popping them a little too early. It looks like they're not. They're kind of doing the same thing as us. So this isn't their first time having a group fight. And we call the rush in. So I move in and root prison them because I see there's a lot of them together. And the fight starts. Now you can see at this point, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys half dead. And I think it's just from that initial kind of whirlwind that guy does. I don't know if he's got like really good gear or what.
Well, they caught 6 people in a room prison? 5?
Yeah. So there was a root prison, like that's the wombo combo, right? They like root prison and then they just got one guy spinning. And half of our team is half dead, so.
They have 3 there, so someone else was doing something else too.
Yeah.
They kind of had a big open area over there where they kind of spread out, and we kind of had to squeeze through that kind of. I mean, it's not too narrow, but it's kind of a narrow entry point to go in at them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's kind of true, but you can also see that half their team really isn't doing much. Like half the team on the right, on the east side, that I root prisoned, and right now I'm knocking around with an ironclad staff off screen. Like half their team really isn't even engaging right now. So the only half the team that we're kind of contending with are the guys that are also in this tight passage, I think. They do have some help coming from off-screen shooting the anvil right here. Looks like they have a little bit of focus fire, but there's a lot of them just not really being able to engage in the fight right away. But you can see there's one guy pretty much shooting the anvil right here. You'll see it as it progresses, and then he does like I think one of these guys melee hits him too, and he goes from almost full down to 1 bar in about a second and a half. Maybe a gear thing too, I'm not sure. So I think
vulnerability on him.
You and vulnerability beam him, which is just super clutch. And they're still most of their team's just reaming 1 or 2 of us up in the east here. JD, it looks like, is getting hit really hard. I don't know where he is. So he's right in the middle, right here. It looks like just this one crossbow guy's hitting really hard too. They've either got really high damage or we've got low armor. JD's wearing light here. Okay, so that's probably it. So Yeah. So does JD root prison himself? Like, what's going on here? Oh, that's the root stun. That's the charge. Yeah, that's the snare charge. I think is what it's called. Yeah, super good heals. We lost Embo. Went down.
I dove the healer at the back and got caught out.
A little too deep. What armor are you wearing?
I was in light. It was a very poor move.
Okay.
Well, it's probably a double combo. If our healers had to run back to save him, and we split again, giving the healers a lose-lose.
Right. So what we need to do is make sure that. Sorry, started coughing. If we maintain the integrity of
You're
our
quiet.
formation, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you got a lot quieter for some reason.
Oh, mic check 1 2.
Still really
Still
quiet.
Oh, that's weird. Hang on a second.
You sound the same to me.
Okay, mic check 1 2.
Quieter.
All right, let me exit. I'll come right back in. Hello. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, if we maintain the integrity of our formation, we can make them come to us and create opportunities that way. So yeah, if you are this is for everyone. If you are a lightly armored melee DPS, you stay in our back lines until you see the opportunity to rush in, take out your target, and then get back behind enemy lines. It's a really tough role to play, and it's only sometimes useful. But it is sometimes very useful to have lightly armored melee DPS. It's just a really different play style. So you can see we're really tight right here in this little corridor, and we're not really calling many targets. And I think that's because on the way up, I said we're not going to call targets because there's too many of us to be calling targets. Plus, we don't want to do the Zerg buff, so everyone just kind of attack the most lightly armored target near you. Is what we were trying to do here. Use individual initiative. But we're also really just super tight right here. If you're standing so tight on top of other people, there's like 2 or 3 names on top of each other. That's not good. So at this point, I see that no one on the enemy team is really going down really well. So I say, hey, we actually need to start calling targets. Let's do that. And then someone calls Pedro. It's Akari calls Pedro. So I lock him because I know he's about to receive some damage. He goes down. So I guess we've only got 2 down, but we've got some others low when we start calling targets, and turns things around a little bit. I think we lose some more though. So we have 4 down at this point, but they've got a couple down too. So at this point I say we're going to get Sir Brito. He ice blocks, and everyone's like, hey, let's switch targets. But really, we don't want to switch targets. We just want to temporarily switch and immediately go back to that primary DPS target, which is what we do right here. They still got 4 or 5 up, to R3, so they've got a little bit on us, but... Okay, so at this point, Akari says, Warlock, you need to, get out of that front line. Warlock ice blocks for like half a second. I don't know if he's pulled out of that. Yeah, he may have broke it, or someone else pulled.
I'm pretty sure he broke it. Well, I mean, because after you do it, you can't move. If you try to move or click it again, because you didn't know if it went off, you'll break it. Yeah, if you double tap it, you'll stop it.
Oh. Yeah, so at this point I think Embo was the first to go down, so he's somewhere else getting back up, right? So we basically got
top
2
right
people.
now.
You're up top? Oh, okay, I see you right here. So we've got Chaplain and Lorgan up, and they've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, I'm not sure. So we've got 3 to their 5-ish.
think you called someone here at the back line.
Right, and we chase them a little bit. So at this point, there's like 2 of us, and I call for the peel. And so what? Right now, they've got 3, and they're chasing decently, but I'm able to kind of peel and get half their team broken away, which causes them to stop the pursuit, and then we regroup faster. Or we're able to regroup and heal right here on this other side of the bridge. Okay, and so then we just get to the other side of the bridge right here. We're able to heal back up. And we move in again. So they charge in again. I try to slow down their guy so we can't immediately get on our healer. And then this time we call out a pre-targeting priority. We call out, I think it's the rogue first and then the healer. Lorgren goes in, but then he comes back out pretty well and gets those heals, so that's good. Akari calls us to ignore the heavies in the group, and we start doing some DPS to their lighter guys in the back, which is good. And even though it looks like we lose JD first, and Embo's pretty low at this point, what we're able to do is we're kind of able to put them on the defensive because we have a little bit better targeting and spacing. Any other comments right here on the turnaround? I realize you're like 5 seconds or so behind. It looks like what we're able to do is kill 2 or 3 of them, pretty quick. We don't have half our team go down from a wombo combo right away, which gives us the ability to put more pressure on them. Subsequently, they have 2 or 3 light guys go down, and it puts them kind of on the defensive. Also, we take 2 or 3 of them down, and the rest of them break and run, which allows us to regroup and heal and keep all of our numbers, which was pretty clutch for turning the fight around.
They got pretty good at interrupting my invulnerabilities as the fight kind of went on. Like right there, I got one on vulnerability on Renault for like a second, and then whoever was over there, they saw that and they got a stun off and broke it.
Yeah. And then we called Isolated Man right here. Their rogue kind of popped up out of nowhere to kill Sadra. We got the rogue, but not before they got Sadra. And then we go to finish Isolated Man, but they've got some nakeds trying to run through and stuff that we end up getting before the Isolated Man here. And that's kind of the end of it. At this point, most of them are down, most of us are up, so we're able to heal. And I call for the regroup and heal instead of chasing that one guy, because I can see that we've got everyone up except for one, and they've got enough down that we're gonna win the day and hold the field if we regroup at this point. So that was the call. Yeah. We want to see the big picture, and that's holding the field. And then at this point, they attack us a couple times from different directions and pull some mobs on us, that sort of thing. But from that point, really, when we came back and we were able to push, I think the turning point was we were able to come back, push the second time, not have half of our guys die in a single root prison / AoE. We were able to then put enough pressure on their light guys that they crumpled faster than we did on the second one, which was the difference. So we're 3 minutes over, not too bad for a 2-hour cinema night. And does anyone else have any questions or comments or closing remarks and stuff before we call it a night? Yeah, absolutely. I hope it was helpful for everyone. And I just want to say, I guess, as a closing comment, I think PvP can seem really kind of exciting to the point of making you nervous or having it not be fun at first for people who are really unaccustomed to PvP. But really, it's just, in the end, once you do enough PvP, it's just a more interesting version of PvE. It starts to feel more like PvE in that it's, it's just you going out and taking care of business according to your role, which you know really well. And it's more interesting because there's more variance in it. But I think PvP is really fun, so I would just encourage anyone who is not super into PvP right now to just get out there and do it more, and that makes it more fun as you become more accustomed to it. It only grows in the amount of fun I think that you have doing PvP. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for coming to Sunday night. Remember to